326 seats to command a majority within the House of Commons, given that there are 650 there in total. You can do the maths. I hope we'll do them for you if you can't. So Jane Seck has been totalling it all up for us throughout the course of the morning, and will take us through this formal reaching of a majority and overall victory for the Conservatives. Jane.
Yes, 326 is the magic number. 650 seats in Parliament, 650 constituencies across the UK. So in order to have a majority of at least two, you have to get more than half. 326 is the number. The Conservatives just reached that in the last few minutes. Very interestingly and quite symbolically for the story of the night, the seat that took them onto that 326 mark, right up there, just south of Scotland, Berwick-upon-Tweed. That's been a Liberal Democrat seat. It was Alan Beath's seat since 1973, but it has fallen. That part of Northumberland has fallen to the Conservatives, and that is the story across much of the country. You can see the Conservative numbers, 326, Labour 323, the Lib Dems just 8, UKIP 1, and the SNP 56 seats. How has the share of vote changed over the course of this election? The Liberal Democrats, their share of the vote has fallen over 15%. That's why Nick Clegg has gone. Both the Conservatives and Labour made a few gains. UKIP have done relatively well in terms of gains, but when we look at the actual share of the results, Conservatives and Labour seem pretty similar, don't they? The Conservatives have now got charge of the country on a 36% vote share. That translates to 326 seats. Labour, a 30% vote share, not that different, but actually it's 100 different in terms of seats, 232 seats. But the SNP, UKIP and the Lib Dems, they look to have similar-sized hexagons, don't they? But that translates into very, very different seat numbers. UKIP, a 13% vote share, a bigger vote share than the Liberal Democrats, a bigger vote share than the SNP, but they only have one seat. The Liberal Democrats, 7.8% vote share, 8 seats. The SNP, they only have a 5% vote share, 4.8% vote share, but they actually have 56 seats. That's because of the size of the constituencies in Scotland, the fact that they are rural and very small populations. And if we look at the map of the UK and we look at Scotland up there, this is a seat map, we're calling it. Each of these hexagons is a constituency. That's why it's not quite geographically correct, but it's spatially correct in terms of the constituencies. The SNP have turned Scotland virtually entirely yellow. We've got one Lib Dem seat up there at the top, Orkney. We've got one seat for Labour Party in Edinburgh South, and we've got one Conservative seat right in the very, very south of Scotland. But apart from that, the SNP have really taken the whole of Scotland. It's been an extraordinary night for them. Let's just look at the seats they were targeting, actually. These were... The SNP had 6 seats before the election. They were targeting the other seats in Scotland. So they didn't have a single one of these. And every single yellow one that they've taken, they've only managed to lose 3 in the whole of the country. So an absolutely extraordinary night for the SNP. Contrast that with the fate of the Liberal Democrats. These were the seats the Liberal Democrats had, apart from those targets at the very end. These were all held by the Liberal Democrats, and they've all been lost. Look at Bath, 24% swing to the Conservatives in Bath away from the Liberal Democrat, which tells us just how badly the Lib Dems have done. Last time, in 2010, they didn't lose any of their deposits. You lose your deposit in a seat if you score less than 5%. This time, the Lib Dems have managed to lose their deposit in over 300 seats. Have a look at it. There it is. That's 150. We don't actually have a graphic big enough to show you all the constituencies where the Lib Dems have lost their deposits. A reminder of the winning line, that number, 326. It was reached by the Conservatives in the last few minutes.
Jane, thank you very much indeed. Well, I've got Grant Shapps, the Conservative Party chairman, with me, and I want to discuss some of what we were hearing there just a short time ago from Mr Cameron outside Downing Street, returning for his second term as Prime Minister. He was very, very keen to stress, wasn't he? This is one nation. He governs as the Prime Minister.